Hello and welcome to HKB. I'm Leon, I'm your host for today's episode, and today is another ACC collaboration. So this time, the Asian Cinema Circle topic was picked by brother Jason over at Martial Arts Theatre 3000. And what an interesting topic he's picked for us, folks. It's origins. So we're going back, we're telling how we got into these movies ourselves, and everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different. I'll put up an image now. There's quite a large amount of us in the ACC now, and a shout out to our 3 newest members. Jake on Film, absolutely fantastic channel, go check out his stuff. KALEB'S Kung Fu Cinema, he has a podcast as well, really good addition to the team. Welcome, Jacob. And the mighty Martial Arts Film Freak. So we're really glad to have you guys on board. And everybody, please go and check out all the other channels and find out about their origin stories. I'm sure it'll be a good time. So, as I'm getting a little older now, I had to make a few notes. And we're going to start off in 1979 with a very young Leon watching TV, BBC Two. Monkey! I mean, how many of you guys out there know this program? I didn't know anything about the Monkey King back then. All I knew that was this Japanese guy hopping around the screen with a staff, bashing things around, flying around in a cloud car. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I was in the playground. I was Monkey. I was constantly getting into trouble for nicking my brother's kung fu staff. And yeah, I loved that program. Also watched Water Margin, which was a Japanese show, I think. And I had no idea if the Shaw Brother filmed the Water Margin then, but all the costumes, all the weapons, you know, it's just great to a kid like that, you know, and it just really appealed to me. And David Carradine's Kung Fu as well from 1972, that was playing constantly when I was a kid. And I just loved it. Those orange robes, the mysticism, the way he walked land and got into different Kung Fu battles. Absolutely fantastic. I loved David Carradine as a kid. I thought that was, that was a really solid grounding for me, those 3 programs. Right, so where did I go from there, you ask? Well, in 1980, my brother had a Betamax video player, and he picked up a copy of Enter the Dragon pre-certification. Of course, I wasn't supposed to watch that. I was far too young. I was at primary school. But he put it on for me anyway when Mum and Dad went out to bingo. Cheers, Mark. And what can I say? What an impression. The Shaolin Temple opening. Bruce Lee squaring off against Sammo Hung. I mean, if that doesn't blow a kid's mind, nothing will. And I loved it. I loved the chemistry between Bruce, John Saxon, Jim Kelly. That was like a favourite for me as a child. I really enjoyed it. And my brother went on and hired out the rest of the Bruce Lee films, like The Big Boss, Game of Death, Way of the Dragon, Fist of Fury. I wasn't supposed to watch them, but I did watch them. I loved them. He then introduced me to Jimmy Wang Yu, because he'd seen a lot of these films at cinema, because they used to show back then in the 70s and early 80s. And the one-on boxer, Christ, that terrified the life out of me when I saw a man get his arm chopped off by another man's hand. It was like frightening for a child. But then he comes back and gets revenge. And the Jimmy Chewed, I was introduced to the Jimmy Chewed at that age, and I loved it. We saw the Chinese Boxer 2, and my brother hired out King Boxer 2 with Lole starring. And so I knew there was more Kung Fu films out there, even at a young age. And, I just loved it. The next thing that came across my path, because my brother used to be a big fan of war films, and he liked Burt Reynolds. And there was a Burt Reynolds film came out called The Cannonball Run in 1981. So I became aware of like a Chinese guy called Jackie in the film. I didn't know Jackie Chan was back then, but I was pretty amazed with the kicks and the jump kicks and the kung fu fighting he was doing, and I liked the humor. I didn't know who Michael Hoy was in the car with him. And then you had Cannonball Run 2 in 1984, where Jackie was in the car with Jaws from Spy Who Loved Me. And I just thought, I really like this guy, but I didn't know who he was really. So that was my introduction to Jackie Chan. So the next craze for me was ninja films. Now, I came into this at an odd point. I watched a Swedish movie called The Ninja Mission on CED disc that my brother had the player of. Really enjoyed that, and I wanted more. The Octagon might have been the next one I came to. I can't quite remember, it's a long time ago, but I remember coming across Chuck Norris, my brother hiring out loads of his films, an eye for an eye, Forcible, and so on and so forth. I really wanted to be Chuck Norris, especially when I saw him beat up David Carradine in Lone Wolf McQuade. I discovered Sho Kosugi, Revenge of the Ninja, Pray for Death, Rage of Honor. Loved all those films. You know, Sho Kosugi was a major part of my childhood. I really loved his films. I wanted more ninja, so I discovered Canon films and then the American Ninja series, which again, really loved all of those. So, despite my ninja craze being in full flow at this point, my brother came to me, he'd watched a film called The Protector. I said, this guy's like Bruce Lee too. He said, you're going to love him. And he had a little film with him called The Armor of God. So I watched that. I wasn't really impressed with it. I was like, that's a lot of rubbish. He's nothing like Bruce Lee. He's not even like Sho Kosugi. And then the next morning I woke up, I'm like, can I watch that film again? He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. And then I suddenly got it. Oof, the penny dropped. Couldn't get enough Jackie Chan from that point onwards. I'd go video store, trying to get as much as I could. Police Story blew me away. And then I had a real strong love of Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin. I don't know why, but those like old low-weight Jackie Chan films really did something for me. I really loved them. I moved on from that and we watched like, I think it was the best of the martial arts. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many more films out there. I need to see all of these. So I'd go everywhere trying to find, I'd watch films like No Retreat, No Surrender, lots of films by Imperial Entertainment. You had the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. When I saw him against Sho Kosugi in Black Eagle and Bloodsport, that again was more avenues open to me. I bought a little film on Selfroad called Police Assassins. It might have been Police Assassins 2. And it had Michelle Yeoh, but then Michelle Khan and Cynthia Rothrock. And I thought, good God, these girls are amazing. I couldn't believe the stuff they were doing. I thought, surely people getting injured here. And I tried to track out more of their films. I've watched stuff like Magnificent Warriors with Michelle Yeoh, Blonde Fury, Above the Law with Cynthia Rothrock. Obviously, at that point, I kind of knew who Yuen Biao was because I've watched so many Jackie Chan films. I knew Sammo Hung was. And I came across Donnie Yen in The Line of Duty. They said, Combat Magazine said, well, it's like a hard-edged Jackie Chan. And I had to agree, you know, I didn't know it was in The Line of Duty 4. I didn't know it was anything to do with Yes Madam, which was released as Police Assassins 2, or Royal Warriors. So things got released and there was no way of tracing its original title back then. You just look at the covers and think, yeah, that looks fantastic. I used to send away to places like Shaolin Video from the back of martial art movie magazines, Film Extremes, which was run by Ricky Baker. I remember it taking months to get my films from him. I had to call up Impact Magazine and speak to Balo and then say, can I have his number, which he kindly gave me. So I'd be pestering Ricky, who was obviously a very busy businessman. I then went on to a place called Mr. Benson's World of Video, which was a really good mail order place and gave me a lot of ex-rental tapes. I think that may have been where I got the Palace rental video of The Killer. Then I discovered Chow Yun-fat, John Woo, Heroic Bloodshed, another door would open. I liked films from Hollywood like The Last Emperor, starring John Lone and Joan Chen. I had a major crush on Joan Chen when I was young. And she was in my favorite all-time ninja movie, The Hunted, which it still is my favorite to today. In the 90s, of course, we had Manga Entertainment come out, and Akira was my first one. Absolutely blew my mind. And Fist of the North Star, Dune Megalopolis, Wicked City, all those. I just couldn't believe what was coming at us. It was really good time to buy stuff and sell through. And most of the time back then, stuff was dubbed. And then all of a sudden, one night on Channel 4, we had a late night season of Jackie Chan films. And we also had a Chinese ghost story season. I can't remember which one came first, but I also remember the Jonathan Ross interview with Jackie Chan, which I found really fantastic. But when I saw those films, and they were a lot longer than the dub versions that I owned on tape, I thought, wow, these films are actually coherent. They actually make sense. These guys can actually act, which I didn't realize when I was watching a dub version. And from that point onwards, I just wanted subtitles. I did not like dubbed at all from then. I know a lot of people have a lot of affinity for dub films, but to me, it takes away from the film, and it always has done since that point. I really love a subtitle version. So when Made in Hong Kong came out, the video label, absolutely loved their releases. I did buy the dub ones too, because the Shaw ones I think were dubbed, if I remember correctly. But stuff like Savior of the Soul would be subtitled. In fact, that's the first one I bought. Then you had like The Killer come out. You had City on Fire, so I found out what Ringo Lamb was. And then all these other labels started popping up, like Eastern Heroes, which again, Ricky Baker, or Hong Kong Classics by MIA. So many titles I found discovered. I had discovered The Naked Killer with My Lover Ching Me Out, and Sex and Zen, Amy Yip. Like, oh my God, Hong Kong's the best. I much preferred it to Hollywood than, you know, I discovered Wong Kar-wai. For years and years, I had a poster of Days of Being Wild on my wall. That film had a profound effect on me, and I still love it to this day. You know, there's so many different films, and all I kept thinking at the time was, oh, I can't wait, maybe this guy do a film in Hollywood one day. So, you know, eventually that happened, didn't it? Jackie Chan went over, he did Rush Hour. Chow Yun-fat went over, he did The Replacement Killers. And I found myself suddenly thinking, nah, I don't want them to go over to Hollywood, because I prefer the films over in Hong Kong. And, you know, a lot of people may have discovered these guys after the Hollywood films, but I loved and adored them way before the Hollywood stuff. And I was kind of disappointed with the Hollywood output. It felt very diluted to me. And there are some films I do like with the crossovers when they do it properly, like Chow Yun-fat in Anna and the King really put his acting to the test against Jodie Foster, and he looks fantastic in that film. And I liked Kiss of the Dragon with Jet Li. I thought that one nailed it. You know, a lot of these films I did like, and I did like some of John Woo's Hollywood output. I think Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Face Off, I think they were really good. And then some of the other ones, maybe not so much. Wasn't really into the Troy Hawk or the Ringo Lam, Jean-Claude Van Damme collaborations. And there's a lot of love for those films, not really my sort of thing though. So where did I go from there, I hear you ask? Wasn't completely satisfied with the Hollywood outings. I thought I need to dig deeper. And fortunately for me, later on in the 90s, DVD became a thing. So me and my brother started collecting DVDs. We used to get little booklets sent through the post, and occasionally I'd see a Hong Kong title in there, which I'd post off for. And eventually I got myself a computer, and I started surfing this little thing called the internet. And it would take ages for the pages to load up, but I found a website called Asian Express. That was just one of the first ones I found, and then there was titles on there that I'd heard about, read about in magazines and books, and I started sending off. They would take like about 6 weeks to come through, these titles, but I really love it when they did. A little bit later on, I discovered Play Asia, and you know, they were a lot easier to get titles from and quite well priced at that time. I really liked that, and I'm joined the Hong Kong Superstars fan club as well, which used to run events. I went up to an event where I met Anthony Wong in Birmingham. That was fantastic. One of the best days I've ever had. And 2003 came round, and all of a sudden IVL started releasing remastered Shaw Brother movies on DVD. Wow, I couldn't be happier. You know, I'd seen so many on the, you know, through Hong Kong Legends and the Warner sell-through releases that I had, and all of a sudden hundreds were being pumped out, and I went on a big binge trying to get as many of these films as I could. I absolutely loved them. I had no idea there was so many fantastic ones, and they hadn't been released. I'm like, wow, you know. Yeah, it was huge for me. 2006, I finally decided that I've got to go to Hong Kong. So I did. I had a 2-week trip there, and it was mainly like a shopping trip. I came back with a suitcase full of DVDs, you know, just trying so many different things. I'm so glad that it was the person in front of me that got stopped at the airport, so I might have ended up paying a bit of tax on that. But yeah, I discovered a wealth of good titles then, and you know, I was hungry for more. And then 2008 came round, and then I met somebody very special to me who helped me discover even more.
And that person was me.
That's right. So we quickly discovered we had quite a lot in common, especially when it came to cinema.
Well, I was a fan of films like Face Off and Paycheck and Matrix.
And I was particularly impressed with this. I thought, wow, a chick that's into these type of films. And I asked you if you knew who John Woo was. But you didn't.
Didn't really know. No.
No, which
No
was
idea.
quite crazy to me. And but also you said you liked films like Matrix, Born Identity.
Oh yes.
So I knew there was a love of action in there. And there was another brand of films that you particularly liked as well, some British comedy ones.
Yeah, the Carry On films. I was brought up on those, really.
Yeah. Which I thought, wow, I know what this girl's going to like. So I think the first one I put on for you was Winners and Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And did that work for you, Shaz?
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah?
It was very funny.
Yeah. Quickly became apparent that you was going to like people like Richard Ng and so on and so forth, and Sammo Hung.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the second Hong Kong movie I put on for you was Gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you really took to that quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, I did enjoy that one.
And, you know, tell the guys what happened then, as in regards to when you discovered My Love of Shaw Brother films.
Well, I was trying to get a hold of as many as I could, particularly with David Chang and T. Lung.
Mm-hmm.
And because you already had a few.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I spent a while trying to find them.
Yeah.
We did manage to get a few, didn't we?
Quite a few, yeah. Boxes full. So, yeah, there'd be titles that I would ignore that Shaz would say, well, why don't we try this? And you'd be like, wanting to try the more modern stuff and not such the old stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fantastic for me. I mean, we didn't just do Hong Kong cinema. We went into, like I'd shown you, Dawn of the Dead, which was one of my favourite films. And then you're like, oh, let's try some more of this Italian horror stuff. So I went into Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci, and further, you know, Sergio Martino. And we tried films from everywhere. You'd be like, well, you know, you like this film, why not try this film? And you started doing that further into Hong Kong cinema as well. Mm-hmm. And I might have had the odd one or two comedies or dramas, like the Wong Kar-wai, which you quite liked. But then you'd be like, let's have a look at this. Yeah?
Yep.
So that happened. It kept happening. Shaz kept pushing the boundaries. I kept opening doors a little bit wider. Yeah, okay, we'll try that comedy. Yeah, okay, we'll try this. We'll try that. And it just gave us something, didn't it? It really bonded us really strongly. And it got to a point where we were like, we're going to have to do something with this. And then came along 2021, and we thought, right, we're going to do something that we would like, which became HKB. So there you have it, folks. That's our story, or at least a brief version of it. I could go on for hours, and I've probably bored you to death already. So if you managed to make it this far through, thank you very much. I definitely owe you a debt of gratitude. And yeah, hopefully you'll go over and check out the other channels, because I'm sure they got some fantastic stories to tell. And maybe we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.